I was about to marry my boyfriend. I searched online for wedding preparation guides. But I accidentally came across a post. The photo showed a bride and groom's backs as they made vows in a church. The blogger captioned beneath the photo, "The man I love already pretended to marry me. So no matter who he marries in the future, I'll give him my blessings." The moment that familiar figure of the groom entered my sight, my 9 years of love were destroyed, buried in the algorithms of big data. Chapter 1. When I saw this post, I was browsing a wedding preparation guide on a certain site. My chat with David on my phone had stopped just 5 minutes earlier. Excitedly, I had sent him a sample photo from a bridal photography studio. He replied, "Pick whichever one you like. I'll listen to my wife." The smile on my lips hadn't even faded yet. The next second, that familiar back in the photo suddenly struck my eyes. The man was in a well-fitted suit, tall and broad-shouldered. So familiar that I didn't need any effort to recognize him. It was David's back. My eyes shifted to the graceful back of the woman beside him. She wore a mermaid wedding gown. Her figure was elegant and slender. She held his arm. They stood like a perfect couple before the priest, solemnly exchanging vows. No guests were present, yet the atmosphere remained sacred and dignified. The comment section was full of praise about how perfect they looked together. One pinned comment even urged, "They look so perfect together. Girl, why let him marry someone else? Just go snatch him for yourself." The blogger's avatar was a cat. I clicked into her profile. Aside from that post, the page was completely empty. With my username Momo, I found myself leaving a comment without thinking, "I want to hear the story between you and the groom." Chapter 2. David called and asked to take me out for dinner. I pretended nothing had happened and got into his car. One of his hands was on the steering wheel. The other reached over to hold mine. When he touched my icy hand, he frowned, his voice full of concern. "Why are your hands so cold? Is it that time of the month? Do you feel unwell?" Calmly, I pulled my hand back from his grip. And replied in a flat voice, "No." He turned up the air conditioner. Then redirected the vent on the passenger side toward himself. After a while, his hand came back over mine again. This time he smiled with satisfaction. Now it's not so cold." My nails dug deep into my palm. We had been together for 9 years. And for 9 years, he had cherished me in his hands. A tiny crease in my brow, and he could instantly sense my mood. He even remembered my period more clearly than I did. His friends all said David had been completely wrapped around my finger for life. David, who only had eyes for me, yet before our wedding, walked into a church with another woman. To make those sacred vows that should have belonged to me and him. Who was that woman? And who was the one he truly wanted to marry? Chapter 3. Sitting in a private room at a Japanese restaurant, that wedding photo of him with someone else lingered in my mind. While waiting for the dishes, I casually asked him, "Shall we get married at that church on West City Road in City C? That church is beautiful. I've seen many people online getting married there." The church was indeed beautiful. With 100 years of history, vast and magnificent. Countless stained glass windows stretched all the way up to the enormous dome. Standing there felt like stepping into a dazzling dream. That's why the photo paired with her words had quickly gained attention overnight. His hand, as he was pouring me tea, paused. "City C is too far, isn't it? If you want a church wedding, we can find one locally." Since we began planning, this was the first time he rejected my suggestion. Beneath the table, my fingers twisted my clothes nervously. The meal wasn't even finished yet, but I noticed that my notifications on the site had already piled up to 99 plus. 500 people had liked my comment. It was pushed to the top as the most liked reply. The blogger finally responded, "All right, tonight I'll share the story between him and me." Chapter 4. I exited the site and looked up at him. He was staring at his phone, the corners of his lips curved in a joyful smile. My heart suddenly tightened. Instinctively, I lunged forward and snatched his phone from his hand. On the screen was playing the video of his proposal from a year ago. A trace of surprise flickered across his eyes, but it was quickly replaced by a smile. "What's this? We're about to get married, and you're doing a spot check. His phone password was my birthday. He had even recorded my fingerprint in it. When he showered, he would casually leave his phone out. Always so open, leaving me with no reason to suspect anything. The reason for his calmness was simple: he was sure I would never find any dirt on him in that phone. I forced a smile. I just wanted to rewatch the video too. He gently reminded me, "Silly, did you forget you saved it too? Last time you even said that when we grow old, we'd show it to our kids." The vows of a lifetime still echoed in my ears. Yet now, a crack had appeared in this relationship. Chapter 5. I still rewatched the video. He had edited it himself for the proposal. Frame by frame, it replayed our 9 years of love. After college entrance exams, we took graduation photos. He swapped places with a classmate just to stand behind me. I will never forget that day. The boy suddenly leaned down and asked if I would date him. Always confident and steady, his words then carried rare nervousness. He said, "Don't turn around. I'm afraid you'll say no." The summer breeze brushed across our youthful faces. The photographer shouted, 3, 2, 1, cheese. At the click of the shutter, with my back to him, I said yes. We both attended universities in City A, but our schools were 2 hours apart. He tirelessly traveled back and forth. 4 hours round trip, just to see me for a moment. After graduating with his master's degree, he immediately proposed. In front of family and friends, he kissed me and said he had waited 8 years for that day. I had gone in cold-hearted, yet by the end my eyes were wet. 9 years was long enough for us to have loved with all our sincerity. Hand in hand, I always thought he was as devoted as I was. Only upon reaching the doors of marriage did I realize that along the way, his heart had wavered. The thought stabbed with a dull pain. Among all those countless memories, at what moment had his heart carved out space to secretly hold another woman? Seeing tears streaming down my face, he wrapped his hands around mine. "Little crybaby, why do you always end up in tears? Next time, I won't let you watch it anymore." But my hands trembled faintly. I realized I was afraid. Afraid of the truth that would be revealed tonight. Afraid that 9 years of love would end in defeat tonight. Chapter 6. When we got home, he went into the study to work. I sat in the living room, trembling as I opened the website. As promised, she had posted something new. A crush at 17, finally fulfilled at 29. I read her long narration word by word. The mystery slowly unraveled. She turned out to be Rebecca. That girl from the neighboring class in high school who liked David. Back in freshman year of college, Rebecca, who was studying in City C, once came across the city to find David. Her sudden confession left David stunned. He politely rejected Rebecca and told her he already had a girlfriend. He even told me about it back then. But I never knew, the story didn't end that year. Her secret crush eventually came true. Chapter 7. The turning point came last year, when David went away for a year of advanced training. It happened to be at a prestigious hospital in City C. Coincidentally, Rebecca also worked at that hospital. They became colleagues in the same department. And David never mentioned it to me. One day, after being insulted by a patient, she hid in the office and cried quietly. David saw her, pulled up a chair, and sat beside her, telling jokes to cheer her up. In her teary-eyed state, Rebecca suddenly kissed him. She wrote in her post, that day, he closed his eyes and opened his lips. My crush blossomed from the dust. A wave of nausea churned in my stomach. I dug my nails into my palm, forcing myself to keep reading. They laid their cards on the table. He had a girlfriend, their relationship was stable, and he would marry her soon. She asked for nothing more, just to have him for 1 year would be enough. She wrote, "We made a pact, a 1-year love. When time was up, I promised never to cling." Chapter 8. And so they began dating. This was how she described that year of living together. I never imagined that one day I would live with the man I'd secretly loved for years. We cooked together, watched movies together, embraced and kissed, did everything lovers do. He looked refined and restrained, but when he lost control, he left marks all over the house. At last, He was no longer my distant dream, he was right beside me, within reach. Every time he called her, I would quietly step away, not disturbing him. Hearing him speak sweet words to her always hurt me. But afterward, in our moments of passion, he would lean close and whisper those same sweet words into my ear, and then I no longer cared. Until the year of training ended, and he broke up with her. She had only one request. She wanted to hold a fake wedding ceremony with him in a church, to give this love a complete ending. From then on, she would lock that year away in her heart forever. And never disturb him again. He agreed. She said that after the wedding, they made love all night. Each of her words pressed onto my heart like a 1,000-pound weight. That night we had today, but no tomorrow, so we loved each other until dawn. For the first time, he ignored her call, just to have me once more. That night was my true wedding night. Chapter 9. I sat on the sofa, my whole body trembling. I couldn't control myself from replaying that year over and over. Every message he sent me, every call he made to me, he was inside their love nest. With the same lips that kissed another day and night, he told me over the phone that he missed me, that he loved me. On the days when I thought our relationship was safe, he was already whispering love to another woman. No wonder he didn't let me visit him. That year, he always said he didn't want me to be exhausted by the long journey. And yet he kept showing up in front of me unexpectedly, pretending to surprise me. His so-called thoughtfulness was just a cover. And she, shameless and ignoring all morals, wallowed in that relationship that couldn't see the light of day. They were utterly disgusting. I picked up the pair of couples' teacups on the table. I raised one high and smashed it down hard. The glass shattered, scattering everywhere. Just like my 9 years, bloodied, broken, lifeless. The sound startled David. The door opened, and he rushed over in panic. He grabbed my hand, nervously and carefully checking. "How could you be so careless? Did you hurt yourself anywhere?" I yanked my hand back and slapped him across the face, vicious and hard. "David, we're done. I don't want a cheap man who's already tainted." Chapter 10. The sudden slap made his face turn to the side. It took him a moment to come back to his senses. He slowly turned back, lightly gripping my wrist. His voice turned hoarse. "Virginia, did your hand hurt from the slap? I don't understand what you're talking about. If there's a misunderstanding, I can explain it to you slowly." I laughed in mockery. A misunderstanding? So as long as I didn't put irrefutable evidence right in front of him, he had planned to keep this hidden from me forever. For a moment, I almost felt grateful for that post, because it let me see his true face before marriage. I pressed down the fury rising in me, forcing myself to stay calm. I held my phone up to his face. He saw the post and that wedding photo she had uploaded. His eyes flickered with panic, even as he only skimmed it briefly. "David, is this what you call a misunderstanding?" He quickly suppressed that panic. "Virginia, don't let your mind run wild. Yes, I did go to City C for training. And yes, a girl confessed to me during freshman year. But the person in this post is not me. The back looks somewhat like mine, but there are countless people with similar builds in this world. You can't sentence me guilty just because of a few coincidences. That's unfair to me." I pulled my lips into a faint smile, feeling a deep weariness wash over me. You can't wake someone who pretends to sleep. This isn't a divorce. I don't need solid proof to fight you over assets or children. I'm unilaterally breaking up with you. That's all. As long as you understand that. I didn't want to argue with him anymore. I turned around and went inside to pack my luggage. Chapter 11. This house had been prepared by his family as our marital home. The location was good, the landscaping was good, the facilities around it complete. Of course, the price was so high it had left me stunned. When we had gone to look at the house, he insisted on dragging me along. The sales agent stuck to my side the whole time, enthusiastically introducing the floor plan to me. All the while treating David as invisible. I had laughed and waved my hand, telling the agent, "Just explain it to him. I can't afford it anyway." The agent had smiled and said, "Your fiancé already told me, whether he likes it or not doesn't matter. As long as his bride-to-be likes it, he'll sign the contract right away. That day, my face had turned red, and happiness had felt so close. The day we moved in was full of celebration and hope for a blissful future. Now, as I packed my luggage, my movements were quick, not wanting to stay another moment longer. He stood silently at the doorway, watching me. The clothes were nearly all packed. I pulled open the drawer, intending to take out my passport. But when I caught sight of that old phone inside, my hand froze in midair. Chapter 12. That phone was the one he used back in college. It was during our honeymoon phase. Inside it were all our sweet memories. In the Notes app, he had written down all my preferences. The album was full of my photos. Countless text messages brimmed with tender words of love. Later, even when the phone became laggy with age, and he switched to a new one, he couldn't bring himself to recycle it. He kept it as a keepsake. From time to time, he would even take it out to revisit those old days. I never thought one day that phone would become such an eyesore. He noticed me frozen in place. He walked over, leaned in, and also saw the phone. Suddenly, he came close and wrapped his arms around me from behind. It's been 9 years. Can you really let go? Just because of a misunderstanding, you want to break up? We're finally about to get married. You want to get married at that church in City C, right? Let's arrange it immediately, okay? The word church was like a bucket of cold water poured over my head. In an instant, I sobered up. I shoved him away with disgust. Quickly grabbed my passport and stuffed it into my bag. Then I pulled that phone out of the drawer and smashed it hard onto the floor. It shattered into pieces. The screen crawled with countless cracks that could never be mended. His eyes filled with deep pain. I dragged my suitcase, bypassing his stunned figure. You're tainted. And this phone is tainted too. Tainted things are meant to be discarded. Chapter 13. I went back home. Thinking about how to confess everything to my mother. I come from a single-parent family, my father passed away long ago. My mom had always worried that when I got married in the future, I might be treated poorly. She feared that without a father to protect me, others would bully me. The first time I brought David home to meet her, he kept serving me food and pouring me water, carefully picking out all the scallions from the dishes. That day, my mom's eyes turned red. She patted my hand and praised me for choosing well, finding such a good man. But now, how was I supposed to tell her I had chosen wrong? I was still drafting the words in my head when my mom spoke first. Before you came home, David already called me about this matter. Nowadays with the internet, anything is possible. Similar backs, similar experiences, none of it is rare. For you to break up over this, it doesn't quite make sense. From what I see, David isn't the kind of boy who would do such a thing. I sneered inwardly. No wonder he hadn't fought hard to stop me. He had calculated that I didn't have solid evidence. So he wanted to persuade me through my mom, slowly wearing down my resolve. Then my mom added. His mother also called me. She said tomorrow we're invited to their house for dinner. I was just about to speak when a notification from Zaya Hongshu popped up on my phone screen. I lowered my gaze and opened it. When I looked up again, I said, all right then, let's have dinner together tomorrow. Since David wanted glaring evidence to embarrass everyone, so be it. Because I had just that. Chapter 14. His mother prepared a table full of dishes, many of which were my favorites. David sat beside me, face full of joy. He thought that as long as I was still willing to sit here at his family's table, there was still room for reconciliation between us. At the table, he kept serving food into my bowl. His mother kept comforting me, telling me not to believe things I saw online. She patted her chest and swore on her son's character, insisting he could never do such filthy things. With a warm smile, she said to us, after you two get married, have a child soon. Both of you are good-looking. The baby will definitely be adorable. David worried that his mother's eagerness might upset me. He quickly interjected, Mom, it's too early to be talking about that. Virginia and I haven't enjoyed enough time as just the two of us yet. I suddenly put down my chopsticks and responded seriously. Auntie, there's already a child. My words lit a spark at the table. Everyone was shocked but delighted. My mom swiftly took away the cola in front of me. "You silly girl, why didn't you say something sooner if you're pregnant?" His mother's eyes lit up with excitement. "Virginia, really? Are you really pregnant?" David leaned close to me, his voice trembling with irrepressible joy. "Virginia, am I really going to be a father? Why didn't you tell me earlier?" I looked calmly around the table. Finally, I spoke without any emotion. "Yes, there's a child. But it's not in my belly." Chapter 15. The room fell silent. Everyone froze, unable to speak, until I pulled up a photo on my phone. I zoomed in and placed the phone in the center of the table. Smiling, I offered my congratulations. "Auntie, you're going to be a grandmother. The baby is in this woman's belly." That post had triggered a storm of criticism online. Once people learned the blogger was the mistress, the comment section flipped from praise to harsh condemnation. A wedding photographer suddenly appeared in the comments. "Holy crap, I got dragged into this gossip, it was me who shot those photos." I followed the thread into the photographer's profile. From his portfolio, I found the same set of photos. One shot, taken from the front, clearly captured the faces of the bride and groom. Under the flood of vicious comments, Rebecca dropped a bombshell. "They're not married yet. And I'm already pregnant. So how am I the mistress?" On the pregnancy test, the two red lines stood out starkly. His mother's face turned ashen, speechless. My mom took the phone, zoomed in to examine the photo again and again, her expression growing darker and darker. David, panicked, tried to grab my hand, but I jerked it away. "Congratulations, you're going to be a father. Let's call off the engagement." The despair in his eyes was heartbreaking. Chapter 16. That dinner ended unhappily. My mom, face grim, pulled me away while scolding. "Shameless man, he even dared to lie to me that it wasn't him. Who would have thought?" Almost fooled me completely. David tried to catch up several times but was shoved away by my mom. He chased us all the way to the entrance of the neighborhood, finally grabbing my hand and refusing to let go. Passers-by turned their heads to watch. Not wanting to be surrounded in public, I asked my mom to go home first. David and I walked to a nearby deserted corner. He stood before me, shoulders slumped. With a sharp smack, he slapped himself across the face. "It's my fault. I lost control and did something that betrayed you. Back then, we were in different cities, and I admit, I couldn't endure the loneliness, and she always carried those feelings for me. She often brought me meals, and when I was sick, she even took leave to take care of me. She stayed single for years because of me." My heart was soft. I was moved. That day she kissed me, I was going to push her away. But then she cried and told me she asked for nothing, only that I let her love me. I don't know why, but I caved in that moment. Virginia, I hate that weakness in me now. If I had known that one moment of weakness would make me lose you, I would never have let her in. I listened blankly. But his words churned my stomach in violent disgust. Chapter 17. He wasn't touched when she confessed to him in college, but after so many years, suddenly he was. Most people grow harder with age. But him, he grew softer. I curled my lips into a mocking smile. "David, don't feed me that nonsense about pitying a fragile beauty. When Rebecca confessed to you in freshman year, you rejected her. Because back then we had just gotten together, you were still intoxicated with the thrill of new love. But after years together, the passion faded and love turned plain. So this time, you couldn't reject Rebecca. A Rebecca who threw herself at you, fresh, exciting, and asking for nothing. It was novelty and stimulation that made you cheat. If it hadn't been Rebecca, it would have been someone else. 7 years in, your itch was ready to explode. Otherwise, you wouldn't have hidden from me that you and Rebecca were colleagues. And the only reason you dared was because you were betting I wouldn't let go of these 9 years. Once the novelty wore off, you cut it all off clean. And even if I caught you, you were certain I'd forgive you. Wanting everything, manipulating me like a fool. Thinking a few sweet words could smooth it all over." He kept shaking his head, his voice hoarse. "Virginia, no, it's not like that. It was just a moment of confusion. I don't love her at all. His eyes red, he moved closer, trying to embrace me. I pressed my hands against his chest in disgust. David, stop entangling me. From the moment you cheated, we could never go back. Explaining is meaningless now. You've been back over 3 months. Your child is already formed. At the word child, a flicker of realization passed through his eyes. He gripped my wrist hard, forcing me into the car. Are you insane? I already told you everything clearly. I hurried to open the door, but he had already locked it. The next second, he declared with certainty, Virginia, she can't really be pregnant. I'll call her right now and get the truth. Wait while I find out. Chapter 18. I watched as he removed Rebecca from the blacklist. Then, right in front of me, he dialed her number. She picked up quickly. To convince me, David put the call on speaker. Quietly, I pressed a button on my phone, the shortcut I had set long ago to start recording. Rebecca's voice was surprised and delighted. You finally reached out to me. David cut straight to the point. Was that post on the site yours? Yes, I posted it. Did you see it? Are you insane? What the hell are you trying to do? I wasn't trying to do anything. I just wanted to keep a memory. David grew increasingly impatient. Then what about the pregnancy? How could you be pregnant? We clearly used. He stopped abruptly, casting me a cautious glance. I leaned coldly against the seat. The car was cramped and silent. Every word of their conversation pierced my ears. Maybe the most painful storm had already passed. Now, I just listened numbly, without waves in my heart. Her delicate voice reminded him, did you forget? On our wedding night, you took it off halfway. David hurried to cut her off. His voice was cold and commanding. We already agreed. You shouldn't cling. I will not accept this child. Go get rid of it. Through the speaker came the faint sound of her sobs. This child may be an accident, but now that it exists, I want to keep it. I promise I won't disturb your marriage. If you're willing, you can have a family there, and another here. David finally lost it, roaring. Rebecca, you're fucking insane. That nauseating feeling surged back through my stomach. Chapter 19. That night, I made a post on the site. I uploaded the recording and openly tagged Rebecca's account. I'm the official girlfriend who got played, though we've now broken up. Ending a 9-year relationship feels as disgusting as swallowing a fly. The story is dramatic, congratulations, you no longer need to stick to your 1-year pact. A slut and a dog deserve each other forever. Not long after posting, a wave of onlookers flooded in. These two scumbags are shameless. Support you, sis, expose them. Good thing you broke up. Imagine finding out after marriage, you'd have to divorce. So gross. First time I've seen a mistress beg to be a concubine. Poor girl, running into such trash. Hugs to my sister. Through the photographer's photos, netizens quickly dug up their real identities. The flood of curses swept like a storm. From the virtual world straight into their real lives. Chapter 20. Half a month later, Rebecca showed up in my clinic. Her whole state was terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, swollen eyelids. Clearly, David's attitude had been firm. He had no intention of wanting this child. So Rebecca turned her calculations toward me. Biting her lip, she said to me, that post you put online has already cost me my job. Once the public opinion snowballed, countless netizens filed complaints against the hospital. Rebecca came from an ordinary family, with no strong backing. In the end, even her livelihood was gone. David, on the other hand, had people supporting him. At worst, his promotion would be delayed. Her voice began to choke as she spoke. I never wanted to come between the two of you. But now I have no way out. He won't marry me, he won't accept this child. He won't answer my calls, won't see me. I have no options left, so I had to come to you. I stared at her coldly. In my mind, a memory resurfaced. After college graduation, at my high school's anniversary celebration, I once ran into her. At that time, David had gone to the campus convenience store to buy me a cold drink. I stood on the balcony of the classroom building waiting for him. Rebecca walked over and stood beside me. Downstairs, David came out of the store, jogging toward me. He suddenly looked up, his eyes meeting mine across the distance. The next second, he smiled and waved at me. I waved back. Then, the silent Rebecca beside me suddenly spoke. "I really envy you. If he liked me even a little, I'd be willing to do anything." I had never interacted with her. In high school, we had never exchanged a single word. Back then, I had already heard from David that she confessed and was rejected. To avoid embarrassing him, I had pretended I knew nothing. But those sudden words of hers had caught me off guard. At the time, I had sincerely told her, "You don't need to envy me. Everyone has their destined love. You'll meet someone who truly loves you back." She gave a bitter smile and said no more. After so many years, recalling her words, I finally realized. She hadn't been speaking casually. She was selfish and obsessive. Her love was so extreme it bordered on pathological. Now, heavily pregnant, she even appeared at my workplace. I forced myself to stay calm. I said lightly, "This is a hospital, not a charity. I'm not responsible for finding a father for the child in your belly." She then asked, "Will you get back together with him?" I laughed. "That so-called treasure of yours is already burnt trash to me." Just then, I received a message. "I'm waiting for you at the hospital entrance after work." I frowned, looking at Rebecca before me, and suddenly had an idea. Finally, I wrote David's mother's phone number on a slip of paper and handed it to her. I was thoroughly tired of being entangled with them. Now, no one wished more than I did for them to tie the knot as soon as possible. Chapter 21. As soon as I stepped out of the hospital gates, David appeared again like a ghost that refused to leave. His hair was messy, his jaw shadowed with stubble, he looked disheveled. The scandal online had inevitably affected him. During this time, our story had spread everywhere. Anyone who had crossed paths with us treated it as gossip over tea. Just 2 days ago, I heard from a mutual friend. After returning from his training and with his family's influence, David was supposed to be up for a promotion. But now, someone else had taken that spot. I walked quickly toward the parking lot, and he hurried after me. Just as I opened the car door, he slipped swiftly into the passenger seat. I glared at him in anger. "David, get out." His gaze locked deeply onto me. "Virginia, I know you hate me. But I beg you to hear me out before you decide. Can you guarantee that your future husband will never make the same mistake I did? At least we have 9 years of deep feelings. No matter what, I would always choose you. Even if she has my child, I can give it up. Isn't that enough proof of my love for you? Can you promise your future husband will ever do that for you? If you break up with me now and marry someone without a foundation of love, will it really turn out how you wish? Virginia, all men are the same. At least I truly love you. Virginia, as long as you still want me, I will never marry anyone else for the rest of my life." I listened unmoved to this whole string of typical scumbag talk. "Done talking? Then get the hell out." He stared at me for 2 seconds, then suddenly laughed. A laugh filled with mockery and malice. "Virginia, if you were in my shoes, I don't believe you could stay unmoved." I understood his meaning. He meant that if I encountered someone like Rebecca, crazy, passionate, and asking for nothing, he didn't believe I could stay indifferent. Finally, I couldn't bear it anymore. I picked up my phone and called the police. Chapter 22. What I didn't tell David was that in these 9 years with him, I had not been without chances to meet men better than him. We live in a world where temptations appear every second. There was even a wealthy classmate who had pursued me relentlessly from undergrad through grad school. I always rejected him with the excuse, "I already have a boyfriend." Like a warrior, I guarded my boundaries firmly, never crossing a line. But he never gave up. For 8 years, he was in the same school and same class as me. I never gave him the slightest chance. Other than messages about academics, I ignored everything else he sent. He tried to send me expensive gifts, either through others or via delivery. I returned them all, untouched. Once in college, I had an acute bout of gastroenteritis, vomiting and diarrhea. Weakly walking to the infirmary, I unexpectedly ran into that classmate. He immediately squatted down, face anxious, wanting to carry me on his back. I waved him off, gritting my teeth and insisting on walking myself. I was able to guard my love for 8 long years. Yet David surrendered in just one. His willpower was as weak as a hollow wall slapped together in haste. Unable to bear the weight of love, toppled by the lightest push. And in the end, he still wanted to splash dirty water, dragging me down with him. Utterly laughable. Chapter 23. Later, David finally quieted down. He no longer appeared in front of me, pestering endlessly. Because he had met someone who could pester even harder, Rebecca and her family. Her family had worked so hard to raise one promising college graduate. And now David had ruined her, costing her a job and getting her pregnant. How could Rebecca's family possibly let it go? After Rebecca got David's mother's number from me, her family stormed to David's home. They demanded an explanation, or they would raise hell at his workplace. David's mother, afraid the scandal would spiral out of control, finally forced her son to marry Rebecca. That child David never wanted, he was forced to accept it after all. But later, during the late stage of pregnancy, the fetus inexplicably stopped developing. The child was induced. When I heard about all this, I was on vacation in Malaysia with a close friend. During the trip, I suddenly received a text from an unknown number. "I'm getting married today. But why isn't the bride you?" I dragged the number into my blacklist. Chapter 24. The next time I saw David was 5 years later, at the hospital's obstetrics department. I walked arm in arm with my husband. From the corner of my eye, I felt a burning gaze following me. I lifted my head and met David's eyes midair. He stared at me for a long while, then his gaze slowly shifted to my rounded belly. Countless complicated emotions churned in his eyes. I pretended not to see and kept walking. As I passed by him, I heard a familiar soft murmur. "Eat well. You're too thin." Instinctively, I recalled my wedding day, when I had posted a set of bridal photos on social media. By then, I had long blocked David. But his best friend had left a cryptic comment beneath them. "I hope you'll be happier than me." From the consultation room behind him came Rebecca's sobs. Her voice was desperate, tragic, asking the doctor, "Why? Why can't I conceive?" I didn't stop, continuing toward the last consultation room at the end of the hall. Behind me, I faintly heard David's impatient voice. "Stop crying. There are so many people waiting. Don't waste the doctor's time, just go home." When I reached the last room, my belly suddenly fluttered. Excited, I shared with my husband. "Honey, the baby just kicked." He bent down quickly to touch my stomach. Another kick came, stronger this time. His face lit up with joy, his smile growing deeper. "Looks like our baby is really happy today." I tilted my head up, smiling and nodding in agreement. Yes, our baby was happy. Because when faced with a life-altering decision, his mother had bravely and decisively abandoned all sunk costs. Awakening from the dream, never clinging to the past. No matter how beautiful the memories once were, they weren't worth the rest of my life. We walked out after paying, but we never lost our original hearts.